Hey guys, I'm Davey Wavy, creator of the gay erotic website Himeros.tv, and today I am joined by sex and intimacy coach Finn Dearhart, and today we are sharing the results of the 2020 Himeros.tv membership survey and chatting about a new Himeros.tv video titled Báptisma. Gonna wash away those sins, honey. Let's get started. Himeros Live is brought to you by Himeros.tv. Himeros.tv is an erotic website with hundreds of videos that will do more than make you come. They'll enhance your experience of sex and sexuality as you'll discover new and exciting ways to increase pleasure, build connections, and much, much more. Himeros.tv videos feature your favorite porn stars like Blake Mitchell, Calvin Banks, Diego Sands, and more, but also everyday men of all ages, shapes, sizes, and colors. The videos are hot, they are authentic, and because we work with the world's best gay sex experts, they'll help you experience the best sex of your life, especially if the sex you're having is just with yourself. Himeros.tv, it's like porn, but better.
Perfecting.
It was a little variation on the typical
I love it.
speech. Yeah. I hope people stick around for that. I bet they just fast forward through it.
They're like, jumped ahead the 15-second jump.
Like, where's the sex part? Where's the part where they start talking about sex?
Where's the cum?
Yeah. Hey, how are you doing, Finnegan?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Yeah. I bought my own new refrigerator.
Yep.
I'm the proud owner of it. I've never bought a refrigerator in my life. This is weird.
It's a thing. And also I think there's like a lot of delays on like appliances right now because of everything that's going on. So
God. Yeah, like every day I have an ice chest in my kitchen, like a really awesome ice chest, and I have to go get dry ice like every morning to keep frozen stuff frozen. So I'm minimizing what I'm eating, but I don't get my fridge till the 8th.
Does it connect you, this like ritual of going to the shop to get ice? Does it connect you with like our ancestor? Like this is what people used to do. People used to have ice chests, and that wasn't even that long ago. It's like 100 years ago.
Yeah, well, mostly it's because my work bandwidth is so extended right now. It's like a hassle. It's not feeling like really, I'm not connecting to any kind of like ritual. Like, Jesus. It's like, I actually have been watching myself and be like, man, I'm really spoiled. And this is like a privileged situation problem. You know, I'm like, oh my God, my fridge, it's broken. And I have to like get ice. And, you know, it's just,
Yeah. My refrigerator also just died, but fortunately I'm moving out on Wednesday. So
does it have to do with the vaccine? It is.
Or that we're gay. I'm not really sure. Yeah. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
This is my last podcast recording in this house, which is like kind of where I started my YouTube career. It's been 13 years. This is it. It's the end of an era.
Do you have bittersweet feelings, or are you just like, no, I'm out?
It's like slightly bittersweet, but I feel like I've kind of outgrown the space. Not even just like physically, just like emotionally. I've been here for 13 years. I'm ready for something different. So I'm filming with Leo Rising later in the week. And then after that, when I get back to Rhode Island, I have a little beach house booked. So I'm going to hang out there. And I mean, eventually I'm going to make my way back to Palm Springs. Because I do live there most of the year, but the positivity rate, it's like we've all become infectious disease experts, like combing through data. But in Riverside County, where Palm Springs is, the positivity rate is like 8.9%. And in Rhode Island right now, it's under 2%.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not like in a big rush to leave.
Wow. Why do you think it's so under control, essentially?
Yeah, Rhode Island had it really, really bad when it first started. Like April was not pretty here.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of things closed down. People took it really seriously. So I think that's part of it. I think everyone here knows someone who died. Everyone like knows someone who got seriously sick. But school here is about to reopen, and I like, what the hell do I know versus anyone else? But I just have this like gut feeling that as schools reopen and as temperatures get colder and people move back indoors, it's just not a good recipe.
Yeah.
So if it starts to tick up, I'm on a plane. I'm getting out here. I'm going to Palm Springs.
Yeah. I mean, people seem like really impatient with this. Like, I've talked to a lot of my friends in San Francisco, and I understand. I totally get the need for connection and the need for like, kind of a sense of normalcy in our lives. But I also think like, come on, it's a period of time. It's not like the rest of our lives, or at least like that's my hope and belief. But it's like, just hang on a little longer with, people, because it's suddenly I've noticed an uptick in a lot of my friends, like going to gatherings again and just stuff happening a little bit more and more. That used to be, I guess it was more underground, but now I'm just like, oh God.
Well, to play devil's advocate for that, like you live with the one, like you have a person always available to you. And like, I'm really fucking lonely,
Yeah.
and for a couple months, like you could kind of manage it. And now I really find myself like thinking like, okay, what risk am I willing to take? Like what's the impact gonna be on other people?
Totally.
I find myself getting a little restless.
I totally hear that. And I can't know what it's like to not have someone with me. Although that can also be its own kind of challenge, like getting very, very little alone time, very little like counter mirroring with other people and friends in my life, which is really important. You can't get everything from one person. In fact, whenever one person's around 24/7, Sam and I can be like, oh my God, like I just need space and I can't get it. Or like, this hanging out with somebody else in intimate ways. Like both of us have a lot of intimate friends in our lives that we're not really spending time with. And so that's been felt for me for sure. And it's just a reminder, like, to be patient with each other. And, I go on walks by myself, but I don't get time in the house alone, I love solitude. So it's kind of challenging because then if I want to, it's like one of us has to be like, no, I need you to leave. Can you just give me this time, or I have to leave. And then it's not, like, don't you enjoy just being in your house by yourself and just having like
100%.
100% uninterrupted, like you time, like you don't have to respond to anything or anyone if you don't want to.
Even when we're like if I'm doing like a family gathering or something and like for Christmas or whatever, like I just find myself like sneaking away and like taking a half hour or 45 minutes. It's not because I'm not enjoying it. I just I just need some alone time. And then I'm ready to go back. But, I think it's part of being an introvert. So
totally. And I'm an introvert too, but like, I think, and for a lot of people, it's like, we need a break not from the other person. It's not like, oh, I need a break from Sam as much as I need a break from like the person that I become in relationship to Sam. Like I need to get other parts of me like going and connected.
I need a break from Sam.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I was trying to think like, how much time have you been around Sam? You've been around Sam for
like 10 minutes collectively. Yeah. Hey, I had an exciting development this weekend. So first let me ask you this. I'm curious because you haven't really said much about this. Maybe you don't encounter this. I seemingly encounter all the time seeing like racist shit on Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Do you encounter it? Do you see it?
Totally.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your strategy for engaging, not engaging? Like, do you just ignore it?
On Facebook, like I've been tending to like have conversations with people like in my life if I notice something, but like if they're random people on Facebook that I've noticed like posting in a thread somewhere, I don't engage with it because I haven't seen that even, it almost makes it worse. Maybe it like fans this like flame and people hop on and they're just like, but if it's like an actual person that I know, I have had conversations like that with people, like a direct message or like, on a personal basis.
Right. If it's someone that you have, I actually agree with that. If it's some like thread on God knows what, like I don't need to be involved, but if it's someone that's in my life in some capacity, my previous strategy was to just kind of ignore it. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get involved, but I think it was probably through our conversations with Leo Rising. Part of what he talked about as being an anti-racist is like the necessity to call it out, and that like we almost have an obligation to do so because a lot of us have access to spaces that are like majority white. And so I've been doing that. And I remember a few months ago, I was telling you guys about that fucking donut shop near my house. Yeah. They stopped giving discounts to cops. That was the initial thing. And I was really excited about that. This is like a local donut shop in Rhode Island. And it's called Allie's Donuts. You guys can look it up. And it is actually pretty famous. Like people come from far and wide to eat these donuts. Finn would not. He would rather die. But
seriously,
I went to school with the guy who owns it. He's also kind of hot, and like I love that he's like this like donut maker. And I was all in. Like I was all for it. They took a lot of heat, and they were like, look, like we're not giving discounts to cops when police departments can do so much better than what they're doing. Like unless they reform, we're not rewarding them with a discount.
Right.
And like my ultra liberal ass, like, you know, I was all in. And yesterday they posted on social media that they're giving away 6 free donuts to anyone who wants to deliver that box of 6 donuts to their local police department. So you could get like a free like 6-pack for your friendly police officer, a local police officer who, And I was like, excuse me, the fuck? Like, it just feels like you're talking out both sides of your mouth.
Totally.
So I obviously couldn't help myself from commenting.
And they're trying to sell donuts.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe the backlash that they got was so severe that they saw their sales tick down. And they were like, well, now we need to do something about it. But also from a marketing perspective, I question it because with their original statement, they lost pretty much anyone that was like ultra conservative, right wing. Like pretty much anyone that goes there now is like progressive or liberal. And now by this new policy or this new promotion that they're doing, they're going to completely alienate that group of people. So they might just end up pissing everyone off, which I think is what happened. And I very respectfully commented. I don't remember what I said, but something about them like misreading the moment. And I was really proud of their initial policy. And at a time when like people are protesting Jacob Blake, doing something that feels like you're rewarding police officers, like is maybe not the right moment. And they blocked me. I got blocked by the fucking donut shop that my friend from elementary school owns.
Wow. Are you gonna is this gonna turn into a bigger kerfluffle?
No, I've emotionally moved on. This was it. I just needed to vent and let it out. So thank you all for listening. I'm gonna make a viral video where I try to like go in and confront them. I'm not doing that.
But really like seeing like so much more about just I want to hold a space for, and then I guess I can't like, I'm not wanting to separate myself out of this and be like, oh, I'm so evolved, but just to see the spectrum of human interaction right now and just taking it in and realizing like how unevolved people are really like acting and engaging with each other. And that's why like last week I talked about kind of feeling kind of helpless because it's like, what do we do? And to meet the needs of so many different people on such a spectrum of opinion and polarity, it's like, I think to be a politician would be such a nightmare. I couldn't imagine like if you were a politician who really cared about like a set of values that you really felt were like good for all people. And, you know, that would seem like such a hard job to do versus being a politician who is, you know, just kind of like in bed with particular organizations. I just think like with the needs, you know, in this kind of like polarizing around a donut shop even, you know, and just, it's just like, wow, people can't really see other humans. They see like a lot of issues that are being conflated as other humans and just, you know, at every level. So I don't know, like how does one really meet all these people, since I don't think that we can really like win if we're in silos, and that requires people like myself to try to hear and make space for. I really believe this, like even people that I really hate, you know, and just like, how do I hear where this person's coming from? Like, what do they need? And not just hop on a like, oh my God, what a fucking unevolved piece of shit you are. You know, that's right. That's easy for me to do. But I don't know. It's a trip.
And the other easy thing to do is not talk about it at all. But when people are dying, when people are being shot, like that's not an option. So
I know.
So how do you have this conversation? And this is, you know, I will give my dad a lot of credit for this and this alone is that when he's presented with like an alternative perspective than his, like he's probably like left to his own devices, he'd be like a conservative, white straight guy from Rhode Island who grew up Catholic. But when you sit down with him and explain to him a situation and like present him with the logic and the facts and like Christopher Columbus and like what really happened with that, he's able to kind of recognize like the need for his mindset to evolve. But to me, it just feels like that is like a diamond in the rough. Like there's not a lot of people like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm not going there for any more donuts. I know that.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I think about this a lot, I think, and we've talked about this so much, but like little boys, like as soon as they're little, even have any kind of awareness of their feelings, we start like sculpting them as a whole society into like certain places in which you can emote. You can emote in sports, you can emote in like rituals of violence, you can emote in like hazing, but there's not like a lot of space for developing the capacities to have empathy as little kids. And we stopped touching them, like parents stopped touching their boys around like 8, with affectionate touch in general. This is like a general kind of statistic, but that's like really young and they need nurturing touch. On the other side, girls are receiving this, like girls, like they like hang out and like brush each other's hair and like touch each other. And like boys are like, don't touch each other. And, like girls will go to the bathroom and be like, let's go pee. You want to go pee together? Like, could you imagine like if that happened in school, so there's just so much grooming towards this end, which, creates a kind of masculinity. Now we're paying a severe price for that kind of masculine leadership with zero empathy, zero access to feelings, no ability to care.
Well, the conclusion seems pretty inescapable to me, which is maybe women should take
over.
Yeah, take over.
Oh my God, I wish so bad. Yeah.
Like maybe it's time for, we had a several thousand-year run. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a good run. It was a pretty violent run, men. Yeah. Maybe it's time for women to take a stab at things, and we could take a back seat.
Have you ever seen that documentary, The Work?
No.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's online. It's in a prison, and I can't remember which prison it is. It's like a federal penitentiary, and the Mankind Project sponsors these facilitators to go into the prison and do group facilitation work with prisoners. And seeing these men that have been in prison for violent crimes go through a process of opening and being able to talk about what happened for them in their lives, and it's just really powerful and moving. And I see this. Like even in like these violent demonstrations going on right now, like I try to see like I'll can jump up on a judgmental wagon and be like, God, look at these fucking like nasty like guys that are like flying Trump flags, and like they honestly all of them seem like they just have like this like kind of sick edge to them. This is my judgmental part talking, right?
Yeah, this was our entire road trip, by the way.
Oh my God, but I want to like look at them and be like, what happened to you? Like what like I see a little boy that's layered and layered and layered and layered and layered with like life's problems and circumstances, and now here's this belief system and it supports a kind of violence, right? But what the fuck does that mean? And just trying to figure out, beyond all that, where do we really actually connect with people? So it's been on my mind.
Yeah, and I wonder, and not only what does it mean, like what is the impact of that? What is the result of that? Like what does that lead to? What does that create? It creates, climate change, a world that's not sustainable, violence, like just these I'm not really joking. Like I think it'd be great that if we hand the reins over to women, and like I'm ready to take a back seat. Like that's
I know. Yeah. I love Kamala Harris. I hope that I'm crossing fingers and toes. I'm also going to like definitely try to get involved, like I said, with some letter writing and jockstrap parties to do that. We'll just keep that on the table.
Totally. Yeah. I bet those conservatives look forward to receiving their jockstrap in the mail.
Yeah.
They'd probably like it more than anyone else. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
A little housekeeping news. We have a new collection series. I think I mentioned this earlier on Himeros TV. So even if you're not a member, you can still see the videos organized in this way. Have you looked at that, Finn?
I have. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that feature. We have a new collection. They're pretty much all organized by shoot. So like, we did this one in France, and it's called Through the Looking Glass. I did last week put together a collection called Representation Matters. And it's a collection of some of the more diverse videos that we filmed, showing guys with visible disabilities, different ages. It's kind of a cool collection for people who don't usually feel like they see themselves reflected in porn, or people who want to see a broader spectrum of diversity, which very much ties into what we're going to talk about, which is the results of the Himeros.tv survey. It's interesting because people, whenever we survey members, they always say we want more diversity, more guys of different ages, more body types. But when we market, and like we just had an email campaign today where we focused very much on like different bodies, different ages, they don't tend to result in a lot of sales. So our audience simultaneously tells us they want that. But I also know from marketing, what actually motivates people are seeing bodies like what we're going to see in today's video, Báptisma, like seeing JP Dubois with his like big dick and like tight body. When we post that, it does translate to sales. So it's a little tough. And also it's not necessarily a completely fair comparison, because the people who we surveyed here are members. So they're already part of the site versus, like the general public. But that's something that we kind of struggle with. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that right?
It does. But I also kind of think, to me, what that says is it's testimony to a kind of disconnect that, like, I really think our culture has this dualistic kind of idea around sex, like it's out there and it lives in these particular people and we want it, and it's like not available in our own selves and in our own bodies. And so it kind of illustrates this, I hear that, like I want to see things more reflected like me. Oh, and I'm gonna lunge for and reach for the conditioning element and the fantasy that's like out there, somewhere.
Yeah. I guess they're not saying like I'm gonna buy a membership if they're saying I want to see people that look like me. But when I see people that look like me, I'm not gonna necessarily pay for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I wonder if it would be different if we had different attitudes about our own selves. Like what would we look for?
There is one. I sent you a bunch of screenshots from the survey. There's one I forgot to send you, which I'm just realizing right now. It's about the age breakdown. Let's see if I can find
something. I saw that. It was like we have a fair amount in our 30s.
Well, I did send you a pie chart that has the breakdown of the members' ages. Here's the one that I want to show you. Let's see if I can copy and paste this. This is, the question was, what ages of men do you want to see on Humorous TV? And it's not letting me paste. So this is pretty cool. So obviously there was a lot of kind of agreement around seeing guys in their 30s and 40s was kind of the big demo that people enjoyed seeing. It's also nice as someone that's 37 to kind of know that I'm in that like sweet spot, so I can ride out that wave a little bit longer. Actually, 40s were more popular than seeing 18 to 29-year-olds, which is nice. But where it starts to get really interesting is that the 50 to 59 age bracket, guys in their 50s, 61% of our audience said that they wanted to see guys in their 50s.
Cool.
Yeah, 61%. And like 60s, guys in their 60s, it was still almost half of the audience. It kind of went down a little bit lower once you get into 70s and 80s. But we've talked about this before. It really speaks to this potentially underrepresented market in gay porn. And a lot of porn stars kind of like feel like they need to retire out when they hit a certain age. And that age is usually like early 30s. And what people are telling us is like, no, we want more of that.
I also wonder if it's like, is it that we want to see guys in a certain age bracket, or is it, do we want to see certain qualities that we assume those guys to possess? Because
like I want to see daddies.
Yeah, or like, what that means to people in general. And I have an assumption that there's more, like I said, more, I think we talked about this maybe last week, but more a groundedness in his body, like more options on how he expresses with his body. more comfort in being more fluid with form and like roles that he plays. I mean, I don't really see that spectrum as much in younger men. I see younger men trying to form themselves along the lines of conditioning more until that kind of runs out.
Right.
And then they're like, what else now?
So what drives those numbers? And I think is what you're saying. Cause
right.
like, I like guys in their 20s, but I can't stand watching guys in their 20s in porn. Cause I'm just like it just, sometimes I can. And if it's good, it's good. And I really like it. But a lot of times I'm just like, okay, like,
oh.
I feel like I need to like jump in there and like show them how to do it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, that's, fake it till you make it. And we all have to come and relate to that, let me not try to position myself as an expert in self, but like fake it till you make it is kind of what I see a lot on them. And I think I see that because I definitely see it myself. And when with an older guy, it seems like sometimes I've been with older men that they just seem so piercing in their ability to be present and just kind of like holding space for me in a way that I've really appreciated, are really comfortable with like giving and receiving pleasure for a really long time. They're not hung up on trying to like get off really quick or like be, in a frenzy of something. They're like, and so much so that when I was younger, I felt a little confronted by it sometimes, like, whoa, like he's really just like really looking at me.
Conversely, I suspect that older guy is also really enjoying the experience of like showing you something that you haven't otherwise felt in your life. Because when I hook up with younger guys, that's something that I really enjoy is like their reaction, like having never had like their feet sucked before, or like totally. Where they're just like, and their body like starts to shake and like,
like that's cute. Yeah,
it's fun. So something that really surprised me. So this was a survey of members. I'd say a little bit less than like 10% of our audience responded. The breakdown of ages. Totally bizarre to me that like there's this whole narrative of like young people not paying for porn. The breakdown of our members is really super diverse when it comes to age.
Yeah.
There's 18 to 29-year-olds. That was like 8.8%. Our biggest chunk of the pie was 50 to 59. But it's pretty evenly spread out among the different generations.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's really cool. And it also makes me want to say, like, I just checking my assumptions, like around young people. I think it's really helpful just to not speak in broad generalizations about young people based on even that data. Yeah. And just remembering that they're bringing something to the table of their own too. And if they're excited about what's going on here, they're relating to something.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a clearly multi-generational platform. When I see these numbers, I think of like, wow, how can we engage like this audience in more of a like intergenerational conversation? Because right now, a lot of what we do, we read comments at the end of Humorous Live, and there's comments on the video that people can leave. So there is like some dialogue that's happening there, but it's like, okay, what format? We've talked about having like a forum before, and I don't think that's right. That feels very like 2003. But and I'm not like, my capacity to handle like more Zoom calls is just pretty non-existent.
Wow.
So how can we engage
your capacity?
How can we engage like this audience in a multi-generational conversation creatively? I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, but that would be cool, huh?
You're right.
Yeah.
And we kind of do it through our videos. Like we get a lot of feedback and we integrate that into the videos. And so our content, like, we do a glory hole video. That is a multi-generate, like that is a conversation where these 20-year-olds are seeing something that isn't part of their personal history, but something that's still being brought to them and they're engaging in. But there's got to be more opportunities there. So breakdown of race, ethnicity, about 79% of our audience identifies as white or Caucasian. It's a largely white audience. And this is, there's probably a lot of reasons for this. I was kind of spinning through some in my head, and, one of them is that it's a paid website and there's certain like socioeconomic barriers to joining Himeros.tv, and like there's lots of intersections there with communities of color and economics, and that's something that we've thought about. Like, okay, is there a way that we can do like Humorous TV scholarships and like ways to make our content accessible for people that the entry barrier is just a little too steep. And there might be, I don't know how we would vet that, but it seems like there's an opportunity to do something there.
I also wonder about the eroticism that we're showcasing, like if it's relatable to different groups of people. Yeah,
you're right. It was one of the things that Leo Rising had mentioned, was that we didn't have any scenes where there were like two Black men together. And now that we're moving in that direction, maybe we'll see those numbers change. And we do the survey every year so we can track how these numbers change over time. It'll be interesting to see as our content becomes a little bit more representative if those numbers shift.
And as he does, I'm excited that he's doing some work too with Hemorrhoids on site. Super cool.
Yeah. 88% of our audience considers themselves to be gay. And then like a chunk of about 10% bisexual, and then pansexual, asexual, and even a couple straight people. Two of them.
We met them, the girls that we met in Provincetown.
Exactly.
I actually love that bi guys are on too.
Yeah.
I too. It's really cool.
It's also good to know that, because in marketing materials, I often just say like the best gay sex of your life, which is true, because if you are having sex with another guy, it is gay sex. Yeah. But when we talk about our audience, to not just have it gay men, but to be gay and bisexual men. I guess.
And go ahead.
Gay and bisexual men and straight women.
I've been having like so much fun like researching, like we've talked about Joe Court, his work. It'd be really fun to talk to him sometime, like about men having sex with men and all the different iterations of that. And it's really opened my eyes. And I have to say, I've been really irresponsible in the past with how I've thought about men having sex with men, just based on my own life's, pathway. And I was bi on the way to gay, but like this idea that like men underreport the amount of, like most men underreport the amount of bisexual fantasies that they have or sex that they're having, because there's so much stigma on sharing those sorts of fantasies in just the code of maleness. But like straight men wanting to have sex with other men for all kinds of reasons, or watching porn with men having sex with men because it's like the action of just like dudes just wanting to get off, and like that, maybe they have like a lot of issues with the girlfriends in their lives, that there's like a lot of hoops to jump through maybe to have sex. And with guys, they just like, man, they just want to fucking get off and suck each other's cocks. And that's exciting to them. Not the fact that it's a man as much as it's just this like free raw act, so things like that. I'm like, oh wow, it totally helps me see why men who might identify as straight or bi or whatever would still relate to what we're showing and talking about, because it's so much more complex than just gay or straight.
I wonder though if that person just like goes on Pornhub, finds a quick video and jerks off, or if they make like the financial commitment to be part of like the Hemorrhoids.tv family.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's really cool. If they're like, yeah, like to me that and this is just a narrative that I have in my head, that existence of like, if you're straight married to a woman, that there's more kind of like a conflicted relationship with one sexuality. It might not be like some of these men have really made peace with it, potentially. But like I've talked to enough guys on Grindr who are like, yeah, I have a wife and I'm just trying to like sneak out and get a nut. And that like, they're just going to pull up something on Pornhub, jerk off to it, and hate themselves.
Sneak out and get a nut.
Yeah.
And that's really, really complicated, honestly, because of like our need to identify, quote unquote, versus just kind of being fluid and queer. It's complex.
So how do you feel about the frequency of new erotic videos in Himeros TV? We do a new video every Monday. Given the option, 47% of people said that 48% of people wanted more videos, and a little over half said, I'm happy with the frequency of video updates, which is encouraging because, man, it is beastly to create 52 videos a year. And really expensive and energetically, it's just a lot. I do think that at some point we will probably move to 2 videos a week. We just have to have a large enough, just to be frank, we just have to have a large enough membership base to cover the cost of what that would be. I mean, it's literally would require a doubling of our production budget. And I've looked at kind of creative ways for getting more content, like doing more Himeros amateur series where people film stuff on their own and we license it. But that is honestly, it's just as much work as doing a shoot to track down the footage, to get someone to edit it, to get the model really at that point, it's we should just be filming this. And I'm open to it, but right now I also produce all the content that we do. And I think I'd have to hire another person to.
So I was thinking,
yeah. So I'm totally open to it. If we get, a couple thousand new members, then then it would be financially feasible too. So in the meantime, I think we have a very extensive library. So even if someone joins, there's hundreds of videos. I mean, it's going to take you years to catch up to how many nuts can you bust? So
totally. And something about for me, waiting a week, it's a little bit of enough time to build anticipation versus oh yeah, that's going to come out. And then that's going to, there's a kind of a, it's like when your favorite show comes out once a week, there's oh God, I can't wait to see that building kind of energy.
That's a good point. I mean, it's kind of otherwise on Netflix, there's so much stuff that it's impossible to keep up with. And so you might just be oh, I'm fucking 10 videos behind. Fuck it. This is too much, Yeah. Are there any models currently that you're not seeing on Himeros TV that you'd like to see? I was number 1. Actually, number 1 was no. And then followed by me, which was cute. Because I am in some of the videos and I'm not about to get naked for them. But thanks for asking. Tim Kruger was a popular choice. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
Big dick. Tate Hansen. I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is? I'm going to Google it. I don't. Tate Hansen.
I'll just come out to you right now as I do not keep up with porn stars. And you know this.
You're not even on Twitter, right?
I am and I don't know why exactly.
I don't know why.
Well, it's I update a thing on there once every 3 months, and then I'm this is not really helping my brand.
Oh, we follow each other.
Me and you?
No, Tate Hansen.
Oh.
Wow, this boy.
I use my
ex-boyfriend.
I use Twitter for keeping up with certain people's work. I actually really love the stuff that Will Tantra's been pumping out on Twitter. And I'll refer that stuff to my clients, or just for, me and you will talk about someone maybe to hire that kind of, but I don't really get on Twitter much. I feel it's a overload of stuff.
Yeah. It is a lot. Diego Sands was another popular response. He is in a lot of our videos, so they should just click on the model section of the site. Casey Everett.
Dude, I want to see Matt Muck.
Oh yeah, this is this is good. A good choice for this is the guy, the Southern guy.
Yeah, for the trucker hats and the tattoos and the scroungy jeans and the work boots.
So you want to see someone like yourself? I mean, you literally just described yourself.
No,
girl,
I'm a wannabe.
Okay, well, you put the costume on, but yeah, you just described yourself. You have tattoos. You wore a trucker hat the entire week that I last saw you. There it is. Trucker hats on. Yeah. You want to see more of yourself. People you want to see reflections of yourself on Himeros.tv.
I think, well, for me personally, it's like I am attracted to men that aren't like so highly stylized and manicured. I like a little scruffiness, and I guess I mean, I'm from the South, you know that, so it it's like the men that I grew up around. My uncles, my dad, like the guys that I went, I was in small towns, and so those were my formative experiences with men. And like really urban gay culture, I find it to be very, very manicured so much that sometimes I'm just like, let me see you like relax a little bit more. Yeah.
So you want to see your uncle on Humorous TV?
Totally.
Yeah.
Then he would stop calling me a faggot.
Yeah. Well, I think for our project in April, I feel like, what's his name? Matthew Muck?
Matthew Muck, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Matt
he'd be.
Muck.
We'll see if he bites. This was a pretty interesting question. Would you be interested in seeing transgender men featured in Himeros.tv videos? So we also get a lot of like written answers in this, and 41.1% said yes, and another 24.4% said maybe. So collectively, that's like 65%. So I'm running with that. Like to me, that's enough yes and maybes to be like, okay, cool. 30% said no, but I also feel like part of what we do is like sneak stuff in. Like the whole kink shoot we're doing next week, it's like everyday accessible kink. So it's like not a dungeon, it's out on a farm, like you're in a cornfield, and then the kink kind of happens and you're already there and like, oh, the guy's already hot and this is already fun. So, I think we might do a similar approach with transgender men featured in our content. And sometimes you just get surprised with what, sometimes you don't know that you're attracted to something unless you've seen it, right? And
Totally.
And this is like a good opportunity to maybe introduce people to something a little bit different.
Yeah, and honestly, all these projections about men are like they come from our own heads. Like I have had this experience. I think I might have told you this a long time ago, but there was a guy in my life that was like I just like had projected onto him in so many ways. Like he's this big brother figure. He's really like this masculine energy that I really felt really drawn to, and I like cuddled with him a lot, and like I felt like, where's this going? And for multiple reasons, we didn't keep hanging out with each other. But I found out later down the line that he was a trans guy, and I was just like, whoa, like I had no idea that whole time. And it just showed me, I'm like, well, that person that I was with, like, so all these ideas about masculinity, blah, 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 that was all made up because it was like projecting in a certain kind of way. And I had this experience with this being, and this being, it was a really sweet, awesome, sexually charged relationship. And it just kind of showed me like, I don't know a lot, and just to be open to like people and experience. And it was a really powerful experience for me. And I think people would have that similar reaction if they just stay open and just witness someone versus like be predetermined about what they want to see, like.
Yeah. And we also say stuff like, we want people to see reflections of themselves. We want like trans men are part of our community, and
totally.
Like, and right now they're non-existent on Himeros TV. And so like, what message does that convey? Oh, well, the pleasure, the ecstasy that we're embodying or that we're showing is only available to like non-transgender men. Like it feels like it's an important thing to do. A little complicated from a filming perspective, because usually when we do shoots, it's like pairings of like 6 guys at once, and to try to figure out, I'd want to find like a group of guys that were really excited and enthusiastic and joyful about the content that we were filming. But to be honest, that might not be that tall of an order. So yeah, we'll see. This is a cute question. Have you ever heard of Humorous Live? 78%, 79% said yes. Do you listen to it? 43.3% said yes. So thank you, loyal listener.
Yeah.
For tuning in. I actually do think that the conversations that we have around the videos, it's such great, not supplemental reading, but like, some additional resources for people to, it's like the director's cut.
Totally.
And just to round this out, are you a paid member of any other gay erotic websites? 55% of people are not. 45% So there's a pretty even split. So for some people, this is the only site that they're subscribed to. And then for people who are subscribed to other sites, OnlyFans was by far the most popular. And Sean Cody came up as Sean Cody and Corbin Fisher came up as big ones. And I poo-poo on those websites routinely throughout our podcasts, but they're also like the biggest sites. Sean Cody's the biggest, I think the biggest site. Yeah, it's like that or men.com.
Wow.
So it just might be a sheer numbers game, at that point.
Yeah.
Bait World was popular though too.
Bait World?
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's like everybody connecting with everybody.
Yeah, I think Bait World's approach and philosophy is like very much in step with Himeros. Like it's a very kind of different presentation of eroticism, and I get excited about it.
I love how positive it is about masturbation and like really reclaiming this like practice of pleasuring yourself. It's super cool.
Okay, this is a funny one. So would you be interested in attending a Himeros.tv retreat in person with other men in October of 2021? So this is like more than a year from now. We also asked this question last year, and it was like 60% said yes last year. And now this year it's down to 29.9%. I think it's just the moment.
It's hard to imagine. Yeah.
Hard to imagine. I also wonder though, is it going to be like 90% because people are just so excited to like finally get out, a year from now? But I think it speaks to the collective, like almost trauma we're going to have on the other side of this when it comes to like reconnecting with touching strangers' bodies, like having someone's lips like in your mouth.
I know.
Like
I know. My body's tightening as you're telling me this. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh God.
Someone I've never met. And then this is also interesting. Would you be interested in virtually attending a Himeros.tv retreat through your computer? We also asked this last year. And now we asked it this year after everyone sat through 732,000 hours of Zoom meetings, and far less people are willing to attend a virtual retreat. If we asked this in March, I think it would have been a very different number.
Yeah.
So to me, this is saying, yeah, the window on that has kind of closed. If we're going to focus on gatherings, it's probably going to be in-person gatherings when this is over. I'm not going to invest a lot of time or money into creating a virtual retreat over the next few months. So I know some people were looking forward to that, but it just doesn't seem to make sense.
It's also like there's saturation, maybe that there's so much going on virtually that it's just like it was novel a while back and it's not anymore.
Yeah, people are tapped out,
Tantra for Gay Men is doing really well with all that stuff. Just like tons of workshops. They just had like a festival this weekend online.
And that's kind of how I feel, is like there's someone else already doing it and they're doing a great job of it. Like that resource is available for people if they want it.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Báptisma. This is from our Through the Looking Glass collection that we filmed in France. It features JP Dubois, and the video opens with a tub and a breathing tube sticking out of the tub. Just to be honest, I didn't know that breathing tubes existed.
Wow.
I didn't know that they were a thing before this video. But you did.
It's because you live in Palm Springs instead of San Francisco. You should go to Folsom someday. You're like, oh my God.
I really should. That would be actually a good like podcast. Like if you and I went to Folsom together and we recorded our experience.
Yeah. Why don't we plan on that for when it's allowed again in person? It's I think it's a rite of passage for gay people, queer people, everyone. September.
So maybe like next September or something.
Yeah. It's really cool. There's so much that you would probably be like, what?
Yeah. I'm simultaneously, I fucking produce porn. Like I run a porn studio. I'm very sex positive, and I'm simultaneously very like kink positive and sex positive, but also a little bit like naive, I guess, or like inexperienced in some capacities.
Well, it just hasn't been in your field, like around you a whole lot. And,
I have a friend who went, and he said that he went to use the outhouse, or like what are they called? Latrines?
Latrine, yeah.
And he opened the door, and there was someone who was like reaching in and pulling out like poop
my God.
and masturbating himself with it.
Oh my God, Davey.
So
intense.
That's how like I imagined.
That's what you think. Yeah. I'd say that's like a real small percentage of Folsom. I mean, actually in the last few years, it's been a little, for me, like when I've been there, I've just been like, oh, lots of spectators and people, just not fully participating. And even like, seems like heterosexual people that aren't really there to like participate in the culture of it. They're just kind of like there to watch and be like, whoa.
Like it's a trip.
Yeah. And that's not fun. The trash isn't fun, but there is an aspect of it, like the mythic side of it that I think is fascinating, like so fascinating to see, like, look at how the people are expressing themselves. What is this, and just watching the different iterations of that. It's profound, I think.
If we go, we need to go in costume.
Okay. Yeah, I've been in every kind of costume.
I'm wearing a diaper.
The last time I went, I actually went in like a full suit, just like with a suit and tie, just because I had done all kinds of other like skimpy things in the past and fetish things. So I was just like, you know what, this is like the kink.
Yeah, my go-to is a wrestler uniform, so I'm gonna do that.
Nice.
I'm gonna whole singlet. See if I turn a few heads. So you can hear. So this video, it's in a tub, the breathing tube sticking out, and you can hear JP breathing through the tube as he's like stroking himself underwater. And then a hand comes down, a hand that many of you may find quite familiar because it belongs to yours truly.
I actually forgot. I was like, whose hand is that?
Did you really forget?
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, it's my hand. And I cover up his breathing hole. So it's like the end of the tube. I put my hand over it. And he's underwater. So it's like, it's a pretty deep surrender. And well, okay, to be fair, he can just lift his head out of the water. Like no one's holding him. Like he's not going to drown. Right. But I think for a lot of people, like that amount of surrender would still be like a substantial I would be challenged if I was in that situation.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of like sensory difference,
We got a lot of shots where his eyes were open, but it was actually a little bit painful for him to have his eyes open. So most of it, his eyes are shut. I think if my eyes were open and I could see, well, my contacts would pop out. So I'd have to have goggles on. But if I had my goggles on, I think that would take some of the surrender out because I could see, I'd feel a little bit more in control. But to have your eyes closed underwater, just hearing your heartbeat and your breath.
Or if you're like tied down underwater.
Ooh,
super intense, right?
Yeah. That would be scary.
You really have to want to play with that edge. It's like edge play, I think.
Yeah.
Knowing like a significant amount of risk and trust with the person that you're doing it with. But
so this is breath play. Would you consider like when you like choke someone, that's a form of breath play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's something I think a lot of people are maybe a little bit more familiar with is like, I love if I'm fucking a guy to like bring my bicep around and like flex it so that my like bicep chokes him. Yeah. That's really hot. And you can also do other variations of just like that don't involve a tub, a breathing tube. You can just like ask your sub to hold his breath, and like count to 5 or something. Or you could even, I've seen this done before where you, I've seen this done before in my bedroom where you hold his nose. And so he could still use his mouth if he wanted to, if he like actually got really nervous, but it's like a very, I don't know. It's like, I guess my like entry level way to play with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's scalable, as Finn would say. It's scalable.
It is scalable. And honestly, what?
Have you played with breath play?
Choking, yes. Not with a breath tube like this. No.
Okay.
No.
Would you be interested in experiencing it?
Totally. Yeah.
Would it be edgy for you?
A little bit. I think so. It kind of depends on with whom I'm doing it. Like I said, if it were someone I really trusted, I think it could be a really beautiful experience maybe for me. I already wrestle with control a lot. So
I was just going to bring it up. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah.
Glad you did.
Yeah, the control in you sees the control in me.
It's like, I see you, sister.
I'm like, I see you. We're clutching for dear life. Yeah, I think it's really. I like instances in which I have to surrender like that for sure.
It's probably beneficial for someone that has like our personality type, someone that's very much in control of their life and control of their finances and control of their destiny, whatever. Like there's just a lot of, you and I are both navigating our ships, we're at the helm,
Yeah,
and to let go would probably be a really rewarding and enriching experience.
I think so. And honestly, like baptisma is like the Greek word for baptism.
Okay.
So there's a whole abstract layer to this video that it doesn't really like come forward really obviously, but it's there, I think, in kind of subtlety. And that is like baptism, like being immersed, like there's something about like, I think one of my favorite Tori Amos quotes, she said something about like, they didn't just baptize me, they held my head underwater for 18 fucking years. And like this idea of like being a recovering Christian in a sense around like guilt and like shame, and like baptism is such an emblem in the Christian church around, surrender to the path and like devotion to God. But I think in gay men, especially, what I was really wanting to play with in that like edge is this idea of surrender, because he's having to surrender underwater, and not necessarily to the act of sex itself, but it's the idea of surrendering to desire. So there's maybe this desire to be like in this scary situation or to play with your own controls, but to like actively receive that versus like being forced into it. It's a different thing. And it does take a lot of internal fortitude. And yeah, I think that was what I was thinking when I wrote it, to be honest. And I just thought it was really gorgeously shot and edited too. Again, like I love Ed's cuts on stuff.
I was trying to, so this is a concept that you wrote.
Yeah.
And this is your first time seeing it, right?
Yeah, today.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out, to piece out the baptisma, like what was the baptism element of this. And something I was always taught in Catholic school was like baptism, that water is a symbol of new life. Mm-hmm. And that he was like kind of surrendering to his own old self and being like reborn through this experience, through this like orgasm and ejaculation that he has, and like stepping into this like new identity. Or I was taking a few liberties with it, but we're actually going to film I must have mentioned this, a series on the 7 sacraments. And of course, one of them is baptism. And so we're going to do a John the Baptist kind of heavily symbolized video. I think the actual water will be piss, not like baptismal holy water. But
wow, that's so yeah, I really love the different layering of those elements, because on one level there's a disgust factor to a lot of people around piss, but then it being the water, and like why it is water, a lot water, it's coming out of it. Even like when JP comes in the water, there was something about like like in the Buddhist idea of the droplet becoming the ocean, and the semen like joining its elements again, because it's been so fetishized in a way, and I'm using that in a really broad general way, but like cum and like sex, and like it's in this kind of compartmentalized way, but it's like an element, and it's like joining its greater element, and I think of it that way. So I thought this was a really gorgeous film.
Yeah, I'm a little, I don't know, we're recording this on Monday, so the video just came out because I'm at the kink shoot, so we don't know yet how it's going to be received by people. I hope they appreciate it for all those things. I'm a little nervous that people are like, oh, he's just jerking off in a tub. Like, there's not a lot of like storyline to it. Like, there's not a complicated arc. It's beautiful and it's symbolic, and I hope people appreciate it for that. But it's not like people really enjoyed the dream dick because it's this dick that comes to life, and like there's this whole story, and there's lots of beats to it. This is a boy in a tub jerking off.
But you know what? We can relate to things that are like kind of archetypal. Like a lot of people have a fear of being underwater. We hear his breathing, the way it's edited. It's very heavily like we can focus on his breath, and it sounds like there's effort involved in that. The music, like the way that it's edited, it brings a kind of felt experience to it, I think, that maybe isn't at the tip of people's tongues, but it seems like there's more to the story than just like, oh, a dude in a tub jerking off to me. But I read it.
Yeah. A little biased. So this is how I'm going to encourage people to watch it. This is how I watch it. First of all, I think JP is like adorable. I think his body is very sexy. His dick, especially seeing his dick like glistening in the water, is just like, it's just very enticing. If you're gonna watch this video and jerk off to it, I recommend that you hold your breath when he holds his breath. So it's kind of, so you're doing the breath play with it. Like this would be my recommendation, to do like an interactive watch of this. And if you've already seen it, then rewatch it and do this. Some of the breaths are really short. They're like, you're holding your breath for like 5 seconds. And then there's some longer ones. I mean, they feel pretty long. I don't know how long they actually are. Maybe it's like 30 seconds. Maybe one of them like approaches them. There's one in there that's like pretty solid. Maybe it's close to a minute. Nah, I don't think it. Maybe 45 seconds. It's probably like 15 seconds. But when you're jerking, if one were to jerk off while watching this, one might find that breath to be a bit challenging to last through. And of course, if it is, just open your fucking mouth and take a breath. Please don't die. Don't pass out. Yeah. Anyway, that's my suggestion, is to watch it in an interactive way. And I think you might appreciate it even more if you do that. Yes. Otherwise, really pretty glossy dick. I love the underwater cum shot. Have you ever come in water before?
Yeah.
It instantly becomes glue and like sticks to your entire body.
I know.
Yeah, as was the case in this as well. So
little pill balls, like
yeah. It's awful. All right, so I'm just gonna do one question from our list. Let's go with this short one. I am new to sex and I'm not sure what to do. What's your best advice for someone who's so nervous in the bedroom?
Oh, such a big question for such a short sentence.
Yeah, I actually have a really simple answer. I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
If you're new to sex, and I would say hook up with someone who has more experience and be honest with them, and let them show you the ropes. Like maybe it's what we were describing earlier, hooking up with a guy that's, a bit older than you, and someone who's like into playing that role and that dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say like you can go as slowly as the slowest part of you wants to go. I mean, like part of you might want to feel like accelerating and just doing a bunch of stuff, but maybe part of you feels like I'm feeling a little nervous and I don't know. Well, then I would say just honor that slowness, experiment, and check in with your own emotions. Like, does this feel good? Does this not feel good? Is this, this is how I'm feeling right now, and give yourself permission to not really try to like reproduce a script, but just stay playful and connected to yourself. And yeah, absolutely do it with somebody who is open to just experimenting with you and doesn't have an agenda for you.
Awesome. If you guys have any questions at home, you can send them to Davey at daveywavy.tv, or you can call 612-470-5729. So next week we are going to be discussing bro science, which is, you haven't seen that yet, Finn, have you?
No.
I didn't send you a link? Okay, because it's really no, you have to wait till Monday.
Okay, I'll wait till Monday. Okay.
It's so good.
Is it good?
Oh my God, it's so good. Where can people get more of you?
FinnDeerhart.com, FinnDeerhart.com.
Awesome. And remember, you can join Humorous.tv and get a 20% discount at Humorous.tv/pod. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, more to come.